Welcome, welcome to Beaulieu, the Lougheed's beautiful house. Please come in. This is the home of James and Isabella Lougheed. Now in the house, this was a very modern house right from 1891. It had central heating, hot and cold running water, electric lights, and indoor plumbing. And it's situated on a 2.8 acre estate that was always beautifully landscaped. In this beautiful drawing room, this is where Lady Isabella really loved to entertain. She would invite people over for tea parties, and all of the prominent ladies in town would come, usually once a week on Thursday afternoons. The other thing we point out in this room is this odd little framed panel here. It's what we call a restoration window. And the restorers left these throughout the house so people could see what it was like when they commenced the restoration. And as they peeled back layer upon layer of wallpaper, they would see the different colors, and they used those colors as the inspiration for the walls and the color in the walls. They had lots of black and white photographs, but very few color ones. Now this mission room has quite a different feel, and they called it the mission room because it has the high wood walls that you can see. And it also has almost an Art Deco type feel to it. It has these large dome lights as well as some very different style of stained glass. But this is where the family most likely would have had their Christmas tree, just as we do right now. The other interesting thing we can notice in this room, you may have noticed as we walked through the doorway, was the monogram on the door, James Alexander Lougheed. A very interesting feature of the dining room in the house is this very beautiful window here above you. Can you imagine sitting having your Christmas dinner here, and you're out in the country, so you're well away from all the lights of the city. You can look up, and while you're eating your Christmas dinner, you can see the stars.
Very lovely.
I think it would be a very moving experience, wouldn't it, Teddy?
Yes.
Now, if you came to see the senator on business outside of normal working hours in the evenings or weekends, you would come likely through this side door here, and it again has James Alexander Lougheed's monogram on it, which can be seen both inside and out. But quite often, if the senator was busy, you'd be asked to sit down here and wait. In this little alcove here. And this alcove is an interesting thing because most people smoked in the day, and they'd likely light up their pipe or their cigars. And the reason that's of interest, because if you look up to the ceiling here, you can see that it's smoke stained. But now let's move into the senator's study. We can come right through here, and as we go by, you'll notice they had a telephone, because of course, as soon as there was a telephone exchange in the city of Calgary, they had to have one. This is the senator's study, and it's a very interesting room. It has quite a different feel to it. It has oak, American oak, instead of the red mahogany woodwork. Very manly sort of room. And there's a few things here that unfortunately aren't quite as manly. You can see in that restoration window up there, there's some very flowered wallpaper. We don't think that that would have been the senator's choice. There was a lady, Mrs. O'Keefe, who worked for the Red Cross for many years.
I think this might have been her office at the time of the Red Cross.
Now the other thing, if people are Downton Abbey fans, you know that to summon your servants, you have a little bell pull. Well, look what we have here.
They had electricity, so just a little buzzer.
The other thing that we like to point out in here, James was knighted for his services as chairman of the Military Hospitals Commission during World War I. And these are his medals here. Well, folks, we're now sitting in the turret of the Lougheed House, and I'm not an architect, but my understanding is that if you have a turret, your house is quite often Queen Anne Revival style, which is the style that this house was built in. But let's now move in down the hall and see some of the upstairs of the house. Now, we saw some restoration windows downstairs, but there's a very, very interesting one that we have here. It shows why the electrical wiring all needed to be replaced, but it also shows a very interesting feature. If you look very closely, you can see as they peeled back layer upon layer of wallpaper, they eventually came to this one. This is Lady Isabella's beautiful bedroom. And you can see here there's 3 pieces of furniture that were Lady Isabella's. They were rescued by the Lougheed family and donated back to the house. The dresser there, the dressing table, and another dresser over here. And the one dresser actually even comes with some scratches on it that were likely done by the Lougheed's grandchildren. And it's now left that way because it becomes one of the architectural details
Of the house.
of the house. We call this room the restoration room, and it's been left much as the house was when they started the restoration. You can see this lovely green institutional paint. We're not sure if it was during the Red Cross days or maybe the Canadian Women's Army Corps days that they painted the green. But it's very difficult paint. It's lead paint, so it's a hazardous material and difficult to remove. But it gives you a sense of why the restoration on this house took 5 years and $12 million. But we'd like to invite you to come back and see this lovely house.
For yourself.
If you come on a Sunday, you'll likely encounter Ted and I, and you can go on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures.